meeting in order. Welcome to the members that have come along this evening, and to our one stalwart member of the public, Annie. Welcome. Health and safety briefing. First of all, I'm sure you could all recite this with me, but we've got to go through it, so here we go. Not expecting a fire drill. If the alarm does sound, please make your way to the nearest fire exit. Emergency exit at the back of the chambers, which is there. We'll take you across the roof and down the fire escape. Take care, as it may be slippery if it's wet. Or you can exit the way you entered the building through the police station and out of the front door or in the back door, as the case may be, because the front door is probably locked by now anyway. If it's not possible to get to an exit, then the lift lobby is a safety zone in the event of a fire. Under no circumstances should you use the lift. Please make sure all mobile phones and devices are switched off or on silent. We'll remind you that this meeting is being recorded. Any other individual wishing to record the meeting, do so from the seats, but I don't think there's anybody here to do that, so we're okay. Please remember, anyone wishing to speak in public participation part of the meeting, raise their hands and wait for me as chair to gesture for you to carry on. Okay. Item 1, apologies for absence. Declaration of substitute members.
Just Councillor Worcester, who's still well.
Yeah. Okay. Any other? We're missing one at the end there. No? Okay. Item 2, disclosure of interest. To deal with any disclosure by members of any disclosable pecuniary interest and interests other than pecuniary interests as defined under the Seaford Town Council Code of Conduct and the Localism Act 2011 in relation to matters on the agenda. None? Thank you. Public participation. To do with any questions or brief representations from members of the public in accordance with Standing Order 3 and Seaford Town Council Protocol.
Just to follow up with the question about the light outside, did you find out about it? Or?
The emergency,
Right.
yeah, we reported it to the landowner. They've had people in the building over the last few weeks, but I'm not sure whether they've fixed it or not.
No, so it was up there, put in, but
Right.
you know, because you don't go on,
Yeah.
then it's,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
the emergency.
I'll ask Craig to follow up when he comes
Yeah.
back.
I think we'll put in a little thing there, be extra careful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item 4, to consider report 129/16 regarding receipts, payments and bank reconciliations for November, December and January and February. To consider report 130/16 regarding the council budget position for the period 1st of April 2016 to 28th of February 2017, pages 3 to 8 and 9 to 24 respectively. It says in one of these that the February accounts hadn't been reconciled. In fact, they have, because they were finished this week. So we're right up to date at the moment as far as finance goes. Councillor Foreman?
Yeah, suppose that we note these, Chair.
Yes? Yeah, seconded?
Yes,
Councillor
I've checked
Layton?
figures and they tally.
Yeah, any other questions? Agreed? Okay.
Just, sorry, Chair. There's
Right.
one question on page 5. Just,
Yep.
you know when it says unpresented checks per se, isn't it? Amazon, I know they don't. That's not a real check for Amazon, really. Is that any form of payment? I know they don't accept checks.
That's a debit card payment.
Yeah. So basically, when you say check, it could be any form of. I don't know if that
Yes,
could
this
be
is-
clarified in the future.
It's an automatic system.
Oh, no.
Yes. So we can't change those words.
That's how it comes out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't think it was
Yeah,
just checks.
yeah, you're right.
and that.
Well, good point though. Yeah.
They're unpresented payments, actually.
Maybe when the software updates, they'll change that at some stage.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think our system.
No, somebody else's. It's a national system now.
Right, okay. Any other questions at all? Okay, that's both of those reports then, yeah? So, internal control review, to consider report 131/16, updating the committee on the review of internal controls, pages 25 to 27.
Sorry, Chair, missing 4B.
Page 9,
No.
4B.
Didn't we do 4B?
No.
Oh dear. That's it now, I thought we had done. Thought we agreed to both of them.
No.
This first one,
I
Chair.
did ask.
I propose that we also brief as well,
Yeah,
Chair.
thank you very much. Second, I'll second that, Chair. Second, councillor Goodman, all in favour, yes? Thank you. I took them both together, sorry. Apologies for that. Okay, so we go on to item 5, internal control review. Again, there's a report by the Court Services Manager. Are there any questions on that at all?
Chair.
Yes,
Thank you.
Councillor Mason.
With respect to item 1.9, or paragraph 1.9, which gives a number of policies that's coming up for procedures coming up for review shortly, I think probably we need to add a number 3 to the recommendations on page 1. Something like to receive, review and vote on 6 control procedures listed in 1.9 of this report at the first full council meeting after the review date, because at the moment it doesn't actually say when they're going to be reviewed, it just says that they will be reviewed.
It gives a review month, actually.
It gives a review month, but not by full council.
I can maybe just clarify that. The 4 that are in March are on the agenda for next week,
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
and the other 2 will be on the AGM agenda
Right,
in
okay.
May. So they're all, they have scheduled review dates within the policies, so that's when they have to be put in place. Actually, some of those that are in March we did want to do in February, but pressures elsewhere meant we weren't ready for putting them on the agenda in February.
Okay, yeah.
We'll certainly financial rates on the next agenda.
Yes, yeah.
And the standing orders, it's a requirement of the standing orders that they are on the AGM for consideration,
Okay.
so they're already required to go there.
You'd like to know that the periods of review do change depending on what process or procedure or policy we're looking at or order. Some are annual, some are 3 years.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I just thought it was a little bit vague, but that's fine, yeah.
So you're putting an amendment?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. No? Any other questions on this? No? Something like this? Yes.
To propose that we note that as well, Chair.
Okay, second. Councillor Goodman, all in favour?
These are requirements on there to agree that the council has adequate internal control mechanisms in place. The second recommendation,
Oh, sorry, Chair.
yes, to agree the council has adequate internal
Well, I was
control
going to come on
measures.
to that.
Oh, sorry.
I've been chastised once on, so we note the contents of the report. And item 2, to approve the actions of officers to ensure all appropriate risks.
Fair enough.
Have we got the right one?
Yeah.
I've got that one. That the council has adequate internal control mechanisms in place. Would you agree with that?
Go for
There's a
note
lot of work
that.
goes into this. Okay, seconder? Councillor Goodman, all right. All in favour? Yes, thank you. Right, I've got the right one this time. I'll slow down because I'm not trying to beat my previous target.
You're not sure to do that.
Okay. So the next one is item 7, which is item 6 rather, to consider report 13216 updated the committee on the financial risk assessment for strategy, pages 28 and 29. Any questions on the contents of the report? No?
I think all members, if I just add something, we have been spending quite a bit of time on analysing our risks over the last month. So Jenny, our health and safety officers, there's a statement of intent going to the March Town Council meeting, but we've actually completed the health and safety policy, which, quite frankly, the council's never had one before, which has been adequate. So that's a real step in the right direction. It's a comprehensive health and safety review of everything we do. We've also done a financial risk assessment as well, which again the council's never done that before. So we are getting to the point where I actually do feel comfortable that we've got really all the policies in place that we should have in place to be performing well and demonstrate that we are following due diligence all the time. So it's all a step in the right direction. And there was some things that cropped up as a result of doing those reviews as well, where you can see areas where we need to address. So we've got a list of actions as well as a result of doing those reviews, which is the way it should be. That's the whole purpose of them, to demonstrate where you need to take action. And there's a few areas of action we need to follow.
Councillor Vaughan?
Yeah, just to note on the 1.9, all risks will continue updated throughout the year, and the annual plan that the inspector
The annual plan, by all means, it's a document, it's an Excel document. It's the one that the health and safety inspector follows, so she follows, it's part of the health and safety policy that we're developing as well, so that was something again that we didn't have in place. I have got one started before, but unfortunately it didn't get finished when we had staff turnover. But now that we've got Jenny here, she's been able to finish it off, and it's now, I'm now comfortable that we do follow all the procedures at the right time.
Chair, I'm happy to note this report.
I think,
Sorry.
yes, councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Did the financial risk assessment cover the low general reserves?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
One of the things that I mentioned that doing the process actually highlights other things you need to do.
Yeah, as well, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things that did highlight doing the financial, because the financial risk assessment is a broad overall, this is what you need to have in place.
Especially if the insurance doesn't cover it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It does highlight where you have insurance, such as that. When you see, you'll see the document in the papers for next week. So it does that, but one thing it did highlight is that we are an unusual council. If you look at our spend, the average town or parish council in the country, their precept on average is probably about 80, if not 90% of their income.
Yep.
Whereas here, it's about 25, 30%.
It's about 30, so
So
we'll do less than that.
that means we have different exposures and risks to other parish and town councils. So we need to look at things a bit differently, how we analyse it. So we're going to be doing sitting down with myself, Lucy and managers, just to highlight where we've got areas of risk financially that are not insured. We'll sit down and have a full session on that. We'll also do with our internal auditor, so that he has an overview of it as well and gives his opinion. And that will highlight how much our reserve should be to insure against non-insurable risks. And that's the thing that you need to have reserves in place for, is your non-insurable risks. The recommendation is, most places it's 25% of your precept, but as I say, that doesn't really mean a lot to us because 3/4 of our income is not precept. So it's quite a blunt way of establishing what our reserve should be.
25% of our, what comes in on precept is what? What is 25% of our precept, and if it is, what's that work out?
It's about 150, which I don't think's enough. I don't think that's enough. The general reserve at the moment is less than that. Obviously, it's down to the figures that you've just agreed to on item 4B. We are actually performing better than projection for budgets that we set in. Well, we do a lot of those figures in October, which is one of the reasons why they're never going to be 100% accurate. They couldn't be anywhere, but we are doing better than budget on the whole. So we're hopeful that by the end of this financial year, our general reserve will be up to maybe 60,000. When we were looking at the budget, it was more like 25. So I'm hopeful it's going to be an improvement on that. The thing that we have got an advantage over is that there is assets that can be quickly sold if there is a dire need. So there is that insurance there as well. But with the project that is at the council meeting next week for the beach huts, and when you look at that, you can see how we can very quickly get our reserves to where it should be with that project, let alone anything else. Over the period of the next 3 years, that project will deliver almost £500,000 surplus. So that's going to be
Thank you
over.
for that.
Yeah.
I hope next week it goes in, because I hope it goes through, hopefully, but we'll see what happens next week.
I think overall we're in a much better place now than we were maybe 2 or 3 years ago with our process, procedures and orders and that. I think they're a lot clearer now and a lot better structured. And also I had a query from another council who's not here this evening of why changes are not sent out to councils. Well, actually changes are sent out to councils to comment before they're ratified at a council meeting. So, if anybody asks you, we do send them out. You do get a chance to read them through. You've got a chance to comment back if you don't like them or you've got queries, and those queries will be looked at before they're ratified at council.
The only thing I would say is that in terms of the agenda for next week, in an ideal world, I would like to have got a lot of those papers to you sooner. But we can only do so much within the resources we've got here, and we've been very stretched to get out everything that we've got out to you. Some of us worked all weekend to get those papers out this week. So it's difficult to get things out as soon as I would like in an ideal world. We're catching up with a lot of issues as well. As is mentioned in the financial risk assessment, for example, I'm actually dealing with a lot of land issues, which are problems that weren't resolved in 1999. So there's some land that we own that we haven't got registered. So that's having to be dealt with. I'm having to do declarations and such as that to get that registered in our name. So there's a lot of land issues which have never been properly addressed for a long time. And that's just one example of where we're trying to pick up the pieces at the moment. We've got 8 leases that are in the process of being delivered at the moment. Each one of those takes up a lot of time. We've got 12 or 13 parcels of land where we have issues around the registration, as to whether or not we are registered or somebody else is registered, or should we be registered, should we be cutting the grass there, should somebody else be doing it because it doesn't belong to us. So there's all those issues that we're trying to resolve at the moment, as well as everything else.
I suppose, for you, Chair, I suppose when the old Urban Council finished and then went to Lewis at the back again, I suppose lots of things didn't necessarily go through as well as maybe they could have, I don't know. But I'm sure
There's more stuff coming back, seems to be a problem.
Okay.
And I've heard lots of stories as to why that happened, and I don't know, because I wasn't here, and unfortunately, for example, there's a bit of land that we in theory own. We haven't got a single bit of paperwork for it, and it's not registered.
Even though you believe we own it?
Yeah, well, we've been maintaining it for,
Okay.
yeah, so it's land that we definitely own, but we've got nothing to say so. So that means we have to go through the statutory declaration routes to get it, yeah.
Okay, well, we've got first of all to note contents report. We had Councillor Borman. Yes, you, sorry.
Sorry, I
Looking the wrong way.
had a comment to make based on this. Might I suggest that in the future, that if there are any present risks that have been identified that we are currently, what we call active risks, and may be brought to the committee as part of the sub-report. An example might be where this council has in fact resolved that we shouldn't allow general reserves to go below 3 months' worth of running costs for the council. That has been resolved by the committee and the full council, and it also has been identified as a risk. So could we in the future have a report on any risks that are active, if you like to call it that? It is a risk that's been identified, it is a risk that we're running under now, it is an active risk, and maybe we could have a report on that at meetings.
Unfortunately, that wasn't recorded in the financial regulations, so it's not policy of the council. The policy of the council is as per the financial regulations on reserves. So there might have been a committee resolution to that effect, but it never got put into the policy. The financial regulations dictates how much your reserve should be.
And is it in the next financial regulation?
Yes, it is.
Then my comment stands. Thank you.
Yeah, it's in there, but the figure of 3 months is a new one to me, because that's not what's in the financial regulations.
Well, it was the yardstick that we used in the previous council.
I'm sure that's, it's a common used yardstick.
I'm sure it will be found in minutes.
Yeah,
of the full council.
but if it's in the minutes, it doesn't matter. If it's not in the regulations, the regulations have been approved since then, I'm sure, and therefore they supersede any decision.
Okay, so that was an example.
Yeah.
If we have any other risks that have been identified, could we have
Yeah, I
a
think,
report on those?
okay, that's maybe something to discuss when we look at the risk assessment, the financial risk assessment at council next week. We could maybe put that as a measure of ameliorating risks is to do that. But we need to be careful what risks we need to highlight to committee, because some of them you just need to get on and do it. You don't have time to bring it to committee and say, can we do this? So you've got to be careful you don't make the risk greater by requiring them to come to committee before you do anything.
I don't think that's what council.
You just want to know all the risks rather than
All of the risks that are currently, we are currently operating against, in breach of, or...
Well, they're in that risk assessment that you're going to get next week. Well, you've got for the agenda, so they're listed. The biggest area of risk at the moment is actually land ownership, which I've made mention of, and that's mentioned in the risk assessment. There's about 6 different actions listed there that we need to take The other risk is reserves. Again, that's mentioned, and it's mentioned that we're going to look at actually working out how much our reserve should be in a scientific way rather than a finger in the air type way. So they are highlighted in that. That's what that document does. It highlights the risks that we need to address, and that's an annual document as well. So that's one that will come back every year. So it's standing orders and financial regs.
I hopefully we'll have more than just an annual opportunity to be made aware of those risks.
If there's an issue beyond what's in that, yes, we need to come back and let you know again. But I think the idea is that when you run the risks, you highlight what they are and then you have to crack on and sort them out basically, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Just go back on similar to what Councillor Burke was saying, with regard to accepts, I mean, that is a liability or potential liability. Is that the same sort of spirit of things with that kind of what Councillor Burke was saying? Yeah?
Potentially could have. It's not in the risk that we've got at the moment, but it has been highlighted elsewhere. You know, that is a potential financial risk, absolutely, because we can't quantify it. So yeah, that's probably something that we could add. It's a good point.
Chair.
Any other questions?
No, just take the note.
Well, we've had a proposal and a seconder from Councillor Borman and Councillor Latham to note the report, and item 2, we propose that we approve the actions of the officers. Councillor Borman, seconder. Councillor Latham, all in favour? Thank you. Okay, we're on to item 7, hire charges. Has anybody actually paid one of these?
Yeah, we've generated a lot more income with hire charges in the last 6 months.
Councillor Latham.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding Appendix A, the table which actually defines the revised figures, there's no indication of what the figures were in the previous year and what the percentage change is for any of these items. I wonder if that could be included in the table in the future.
Yeah, some of them don't exist because we didn't charge in this way for some things. So we've split the fields up, for example, at Martello, so there wasn't the option to hire.
Where it's possible.
Yeah. You have got these figures on your precept.
It would be good to have.
Yeah, I accept the point. Yeah. But if you wanted to look at them afterwards, they're on your precept document. The increases are generally within inflation, whereas some of them are actually more. We've looked at the market rate for some of them. So the open spaces ones in particular, we've looked at market rate for those, and that we with these prices we still 28 bookings this year, which is more than any other year for the Martello there. Yeah.
So we've not Councillor Latham's comments, so Councillor Burfield.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Actually, Councillor Latham almost picked word for word my first remark is it's helpful to have a comparison sheet. My second remark is I wonder if we might also have a brief note in the future on the financial impact of the rate of the increase, in particular what the budget impact would be based on the current consumption rates.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Councillor
The overall impact is positive, I should say.
Just a question on the open spaces, on the promenade bit, where does that start and stop? What do you get for your £40, please? The only reason why I say that is obviously where the splash point will start, but you said we don't really own that, so you wouldn't really want people to go beyond where a splash point officially starts, would you?
It'll be a designated area that they choose, so it depends on where they want to be. We give them a designated area.
But it wouldn't include splash point anyway?
No, we couldn't let them something that we don't own, no.
It's a bit dangerous down there. That's why I throw that in, and where it starts.
It just depends where they want to be.
So it wouldn't necessarily be, you could quite easily just call off an area.
I mean, the main area we're looking at there really is the new entertainment area.
Yeah, I thought it all links into this.
Yeah.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, any other? We just have form.
Okay. Just regarding Seaford bond, is that included in the filming charges?
No, filming's a different charge altogether. It depends on what the filming's for more than anything.
I just wondered, shouldn't we have that as on there though, as a fund?
No, we have to negotiate on filming. You can't, if you put a fixed price on, you're tying your hands behind your back. For example, we have somebody who might come and they're doing a film, you know, a movie. We would immediately start off at £2,000 a day. But if someone comes in who's wanting to film an advert, we might say 650 a day. Or if it's some students who are doing a business who's doing a promotional video for their own business, it might be 150 quid a day. Depends on what it is.
Yeah, my point was that there's nothing here to show.
No, there isn't.
Which is
It,
frustrating.
well, it is, but I think what I would say is if we start putting fixed figures on, your income will go down. So it's not an appropriate one to put a fixed figure on. It is very much a negotiation thing with people. And I think people expect that as well.
And a little bit of layman terms here, obviously you've got the precept up, as these gone above inflation as well, the rises.
The minimum inflation across the board on these, but some of them are more, where we could see that we're actually undercharging for some of the places. So, and what we've done is as well, what's had a positive impact is by dividing the Martello fields up into two. That means we generate more income because we can hire two out at once. Whereas before it was just you've got the Martello fields and they didn't use one of them, or if they did, they park cars in it and that was it, you know, a few cars. Whereas now if they want both, they have to pay for both separately. But it means we can have two events on at the same time
So
as well.
with they're now basically they've got revenue coming in for an event, they've now got to pay for parking on top, which they're hiring that field out. Are we doing that? They hire both, we give them a deal for two? Or is it still fixed rate?
No, it's just the rates, yeah. And people,
Some things voluntary down there, obviously.
yeah, well, that's a different rate for voluntary groups. Theirs is cheaper anyway. Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
I think we've also got a scheme in hand to look at car parking down there and to sublet car parking to different voluntary and charity organisations who can make some money out of it, so we probably wouldn't get anything.
That's it. Oh, they would. They still pays, but they would. They would pay us a fee, and then they would run a car park there on busy days in the summer. It's in the Seaford development plan that you've just been sent today. It's mentioned in there. So.
That alleviates the event organisers to a certain extent who have to run a car park as well, and if you've got
And
something.
the liability comes on us, Jeff, doesn't it?
Yeah, we have public liability, so
Yeah.
it doesn't affect our.
Even,
That's
the events themselves don't have to have liability.
No, well, people who are hiring the venue for an event have to have public liability. Yeah. The car park operation is different. That would be the charitable group will have its own public liability for its volunteers.
You've got no,
We potentially have liability as a landowner, as we do with any event on our land. Even if you're hiring it out, if there's an injury, someone can still make a claim against you as the landowner. Whether they're successful or not depends on who's being negligent.
so I'll know this is your check.
Okay. Just asked to approve the fees and proposed venues and facilities hire. Councillor Ballman, seconder. Councillor Burfield, all in favour? Thank you. No other questions? I had a meeting closed at 7:28. 19:28.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you.